Gentlemen, you are live.
Good morning, everybody. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, again, good morning and welcome to the March 8th, 2022 Board of County Commissioners meeting. First thing on our agenda are the minutes. Gentlemen, do you have any additions or corrections?
No. I motion that we approve the proceedings of the Board of County Commissioners of Montezuma County as for March 1st, 2022.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the proceedings of the Board of Commissioners, Montezuma County, March 1st, 2022. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, planning, come on up.
Good morning.
Good morning. First thing we have is a public hearing, so Kim, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Candelaria.
Here.
Commissioner Lindsay.
Here.
Commissioner Copenhaver.
Here.
Administrator Powers.
Here.
Attorney McLaren.
Here.
And Kim Purcell, Montezuma County Clerk and Recorder. Notice is hereby given that the Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners will hold a public hearing for review and determination of a proposed two-lot moderate subdivision and rezoning application submitted by Douglas and Cindy Coulon on property located at 21624 Road S, Cortez, Colorado, consisting of 17.42 acres, more or less, located west of Highway 491, south of Road S, situated in Section 30, Township 37 North, Range 16, West, N.M.P.M. The hearing will be held Tuesday, March 8th, 2022 at 9 a.m. in the Commissioners' Hearing Room, Montezuma County Administrative Offices, 109 West Main, Cortez, Colorado. Interested persons may attend and give input. Information may be obtained from the Planning Office online services at https://co-montezuma-co.smartgovcommunity.com public home. You may also contact the Planning Department at 970-565-2801 with questions. Dated the 16th day of February 2022, Kim Purcell, Clerk, Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County, Colorado. Published in the Journal on Wednesday, February 23rd, 2022.
Thank you, Kim. Okay, Don, you want to give us a brief overview or the owners? of the
Sure.
Proposal here?
Applicants come up. Cindy's here. You want to bring up the map shack? Yeah, you can sit here. Oops. So the Coulons are looking to divide off the front 4 acres of their property and leave the remaining 13 acres in ag. Their property connects there with that middle stripe. It's actually a 60-foot wide strip of property, and that will be the easement from the north property to the south property.
It's a dedicated easement.
Planning and zoning was unanimous to recommend it for approval. I don't know how it got created in that weird configuration, but
That is a pretty odd configuration.
yeah,
But,
there was several exemptions and resolutions and stuff.
so is that line, is it actually surveyed right there, or is that just kind of just a bolded line, or is it relatively close?
As far as to the east boundary with the structures, or just in general? There is a variance from the mobile home for a setback, and I don't remember the year on that, but I did see where there was a recorded variance for a setback issue.
And do you own the property where the homes are at now currently, or?
No, that belongs to Mike Lynch.
Okay.
Their property is vacant.
Yeah, it's
Coulon's is vacant.
all vacant now.
Okay.
Their son's looking to build on the front front portion.
So then that right-of-way basically looks like there's a road there that goes along that, all
Right,
the way out to the...
that's the access
to the
for that
entrance.
residence to the east. So
So-
that's an existing easement access.
all the way to the back.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll give you a minute if you want to add anything, or...
No, I've been working with Huddleston's, and they said that in order to give, it's actually about 3 acres at the top up there, and we would have to include the easement in that 3 acres in order to give it off to our son. And so she said that, that in order to make the 3 acres, that would be one stipulation, is that easement would be included in that 3.
Incorporated in the 3 acres.
Correct.
Gotcha.
But it would still grant us access and Mike access to the back.
Okay. All right. Commissioners?
No questions?
Commissioner?
I mean, that is a deeded access to the back lot then? It's gonna be
Correct.
separate.
Yeah, we have an adjoining piece of land that adjoins at the bottom of that 17 acres. And so we wanted to make 100% sure that we had access so that it wasn't landlocked. We didn't want to landlock that other piece of land. And so she said that they could take care of that for us.
Okay.
Good for you.
Okay. Anything else to add? Okay. Well, then I will open this up for a public comment. Anybody wishing to speak for or against this proposed application, come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you may address the board. Okay, seeing no public comment, I'll close the public comment session of this, and I will bring it back to the commissioners.
I don't see anything wrong with this, so I would move that we approve the proposed 2-lot moderate subdivision and rezoning application submitted by Douglas and Cindy Coulon on property located at 21624 Road S, Cortez.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept a proposed 2-lot moderate subdivision and rezoning application submitted by Douglas and Cindy Coulon on property located at 21624 Road S, Cortez, Colorado, consisting of 17.42 acres more or less. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, there you go, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we have a couple minutes. Black to sign?
We have a boundary line adjustment to review and get approved or not.
Okay,
I don't know if you want to do it now or...
we can do it now. We have time.
Okay. So this is a boundary line adjustment between our Vita Higgins and her brother Ervil. You have that on Dropbox?
I'm pulling it up now.
So they're looking to adjust the property line boundary on the east. I think it's about 40 feet. Move that property line to match the existing fence line that's been there for decades. Should be under Higgins.
It's under other things we addressed.
So there, the dotted dashed white line is the fence line, and that east property line will just be moved to match up with that.
To the dotted line.
Correct. And then Arvita, who has the largest parcel there, she's looking to sell all of that, and then her brother will just have access to the pond, and the fence line will match up for his property boundary.
And the new boundary line will still be 60 feet, 60-foot easement between the 2 pieces of property.
Yeah.
At that little bitty,
That
the
strip.
neck.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
little neck is still going to be over 60 feet.
So if anybody wants to develop that in the future, there's there's plenty of width
So there's
for
room to get
access
to the
right
back
of
of
way.
it.
It's all ag land, but you never know what might develop in the future with a different owner.
Okay. So, questions?
No questions.
So we're,
Simple.
where's the fence line now is
Is where that white dotted dashed
where the
line
white
is?
dotted line?
So it
is
goes through the pond, or, I mean,
Right,
probably stops. and
right,
then
and that
continues.
gives Ervil the chance for his cows to access that pond for water and still be on his property where the fence is.
Okay. So it's still all one piece of property?
Correct.
It's just moving it to a fence line, that's it?
Correct.
Just on that little, I don't
Yeah.
know how long that is,
Yeah, it's
but,
only like 40 feet.
Yeah. Neither property's in a subdivision. We're not amending a subdivision. It's just strictly a boundary line adjustment to square up property lines with fence lines.
okay,
Between brother and sister.
Yeah.
That's it.
yeah, okay. Let me, Shaq, you want to scroll down so that we have something to, for the legal names? Okay, Commissioners?
Move we approve the boundary line adjustment agreement for RV to Higgins and Ervil Higgins at 21510 Road W, Lewis, Colorado.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept a boundary line adjustment agreement between Arvita Higgins, property number 1, and property number 2, Ervil Higgins. Any other discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And we do have the plat to be signed.
Okay. All right, well, it's 9:10, so we can move into the second one. We have another public hearing. So Kim, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Candelaria.
Here.
Commissioner Lindsay.
Here.
Commissioner Copenhaver.
Here.
Administrator Powers.
Here.
Attorney McLaren.
Here.
Kim Purcell, Montezuma County Clerk and Recorder. Notice is hereby given that the Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners will hold a public hearing for review and determination of a proposed subdivision amendment application of the Swearingen 2-lot moderate subdivision submitted by BBS LLC, agents David Posner and Karl Jeffries, on property located at 11245 and 11145 Road 20, Cortez, Colorado, consisting of 3.34 acres more or less and 3.80 acres more or less located south of Road M and west of Road 20, situated in Section 14, Township 36 North, Range 17 West, N.M.P.M. The hearing will be held Tuesday, March 8th, 2022 at 9:10 a.m. in the Commissioners' Hearing Room, Montezuma County Administrative Offices, 109 West Main, Cortez, Colorado. Interested persons may attend and give input. Information may be obtained from the Planning Office online services at https://co-montezuma-co.smartgovcommunity.com public home. You may also contact the Planning Department at 970-565-2801 with questions. Dated the 16th day of February 2022, Kim Purcell Clerk, Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County, Colorado, published in the Journal on Wednesday, February 23rd, 2022.
Okay, thank you, Kim. Don, do you want to give an overview, and are the owners
Sure.
in attendance?
David, would you like to come up? This is David Posner, one of the owners of the 2 parcels.
The man, but the owner, I am
Oh,
the agent.
The agent, I should say. Yeah, they're,
Good morning.
so Lot 1 and 2 of the Swearingen subdivision currently exists in the black lines depicted there. The proposal is to amend that so that 2.3 acres from the owner to the west, who actually did the subdivision originally, Lot 1 and 2 would expand to the west, and then the southeast corner, the 2.3 acres there, would revert back to the original property owner there to his larger parcel on the south. So there's no net gain or loss of the subdivision or the lots. It's just reconfiguring the whole two-lot moderate to a different layout.
Okay. Would you like to add anything?
I'm happy to answer any questions.
Commissioners?
The access to Lot 2, is it?
Yeah, there's a
Which way does it come from?
60-foot easement there at the southeast corner of Lot 1 and 2 that will access off the county road. Currently, the north end of Lot 1 has access, and there's a residence on that property. The access is at the north property line. Lot 2 is just vacant currently.
I guess what created the reason for this adding, I mean, just so that you have the 2.38 acres that are accessible?
Yeah, the owners of the area to the southwest and the west want the easement road to be maintained there, which I'm purchasing lots 1 and 2 in contract right now, prospective purchaser. We'd like to have the 2.3 acres to the southeast not be cut off by that road, and not be really made less accessible to us. So it was to the owners and to the purchasers' benefit to have that be owned by the people who will still maintain ownership of southwest and west, and just add that property off to the west of the place that we're trying to buy.
Okay. All right. Recommendations from,
B&Z was unanimous to recommend it for approval.
okay. Questions, commissioners?
No. Gerald? you have any?
What? I'm just trying to picture where this is at, because why the road is that, has that bend in it? Is it
Yes.
originally, why did that happen?
You're talking about the bend up to the north of it?
I'm talking about the county road out there, or the right of way off the,
Road 20?
yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not clear on your question. Are you talking about the easement?
For us, as far as the county road, I think.
I'm
is what
talking
your
about the county
question
road
is.
itself.
Why do we have such a?
I'm trying to remember where this is at, as to
Oh.
why that bend is in there to begin with.
Yeah, I can't answer that question, but it is, yeah, thank you.
I still don't.
I think it more or less followed the terrain there versus going through a hill. They went around it.
Yeah, I think that's correct, and that's why they still want to keep that easement for access because of the.
I think I know where it's at now.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's what it is. It goes
Yeah,
around the deal.
I'm trying to think of the bend in the road right there, and I can't see it in my head,
Yeah,
but that's fine.
It's there. It's because of the way the hill comes down.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember now.
Okay, well then I'll open this up for public comment. Anybody wishing to speak for or against this proposal, please come forward, state your name for the record and address, and you may address the board. Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public comment session of this hearing and bring it back to the commissioners. Gentlemen,
I don't have anything. Do you have anything?
I have nothing.
Nothing.
I move to approve the proposed subdivision amendment application of the Swearingen two-lot moderate subdivision submitted by BBS LLC agents David Posner and Karl Jeffries on properties located at 11245 and 11145 Road 20, Cortez, Colorado.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to accept the proposed subdivision amendment application of the Swearingen two-lot moderate subdivision submitted by BBS LLC, agents David Posner and Karl Jeffries, on properties located at 11245 and 11145 Road 20, Cortez, Colorado. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Thank you.
Very good.
and I'll close this public hearing. Okay. We're right on time. Mine says 9:20. So we have another public hearing. Kim, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Candelaria.
Here.
Commissioner Lindsay.
Here.
Commissioner Copenhaver.
Here.
Administrator Powers.
Here.
Attorney McLaren.
Here.
Notice, Kim Purcell, County Clerk, sorry, forgot me. Notice is hereby given that the Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners will hold a public hearing for a review and determination of a proposed two-lot minor subdivision and rezoning application submitted by James E. Lynch Living Trust on property located at 14767 Road 29.75, Dolores, Colorado, consisting of 40 acres more or less, located west of Road 29, east of Road 29.75, situated in Section 33, Township 37 North, Range 15 West, N.M.P.M. The hearing will be held Tuesday, March 8th, 2022 at 9:20 a.m. in the Commissioners' Hearing Room, Montezuma County Administrative Offices, 109 West Main, Cortez, Colorado. Interested persons may attend and give input. Information may be obtained from the Planning Office, online services at https://co-montezuma-co.smartgovcommunity.com, public home. You may also contact the Planning Department at 970-565-2801 with questions. Dated the 16th day of February, 2022, Kim Purcell Clerk, Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County, Colorado. Published in the Journal on Wednesday, February 23rd, 2022.
Thank you, Kim. Don, you want to give us an overview?
Sure. This is Mr. Lynch, owner of the property, roughly 40 acres, and he is looking to subdivide off the south half and sell it to the adjoining property owner to the south and keep the northern part with his residence and including the acreage there.
Okay, so access is, obviously, the Green Road is a county road.
Correct. So it adjoins both properties.
So there's no issues with access at all?
No.
Okay. Planning recommendations?
They were unanimous to recommend it for approval.
Okay, commissioners?
No questions. Looks pretty simple.
Okay, would you like to add anything, sir?
Do you have anything else to add?
What is that?
Do you have anything else to add to the conversation?
No, just I'm getting too old to take care of the lower half there, and my neighbor wants to keep it as a large residential parcel, so that'll probably keep it nice and quiet.
Okay. Okay, well then I'll open this up for public comment. Anybody wishing to speak for or against this application, please come forward to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you may address the board. Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public comment session of this hearing, and I will bring it back to the commissioners. Gentlemen, any further discussion or
No, none from
any
me.
questions?
I would move we approve the proposed two-lot minor subdivision and rezoning application submitted by James E. Lynch Living Trust on property located at 14767 Road 29.75, Dolores, Colorado.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept a proposed two-lot minor subdivision and rezoning application submitted by James E. Lynch Living Trust on property located at 14767 Road 29.75, Dolores, Colorado, consisting of 40 acres more or less. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We'll close this public hearing. We have time?
You got 6 minutes.
Yeah, we got lots to do.
Maybe they're coming for this.
Oh, we got lots of time yet. We still have 4 minutes.
Come in.
Andy, see any issues with jumping to unfinished business and taking care of the John Deere lease
No.
this time?
Yeah, I think we can do that. We've got 3 minutes left.
We got 3 minutes, so, Shaq, if you want to, go ahead and bring that discussion up for the John Deere leases, and we'll just go ahead and get that taken care of.
Okay, gentlemen, yesterday, Superintendent Engelhardt presented to renew the John Deere lease, buying out 2 of the blades that we've got at the guaranteed purchase option, and to get 2 more onto lease for a total in his capital line item for 2022 for $86,392.
Okay. We pretty much discussed this at length yesterday. We just have to wait for a decision today. But this is part of the John Deere lease program that's been started several years back. These are coming out of the 2018, the 2020 leases, and we'll actually purchase these 2 for the amount of the $86,000. Any other discussion that we need to have on this?
No.
He does have plenty of money in his capital outlay.
Okay. I move to approve the movement of $86,392 out of the capital outlay account for the Road and Bridge Department for the purchase of these 2 blades, model 772/GP.
Now I can second. Second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept or to take the funds out of the capital outlay account of Road and Bridge of $86,392 for the purchase of 2 2020 model 772 GP blades. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and then we'll go back to our 9:30 public hearing. And they all left. So we'll wait.
You know, Commissioner, if they're not here, they might be somewhere else.
Yeah, that's correct.
You've pointed that out numerous times.
Shaq tries to lighten the mood. You can all tell that.
Gentlemen, Kevin and King, we are here for that 9:30 hearing, and I have a preliminary issue that I thought I would bring up whenever you're ready to hear that. I don't know if you want to wait.
I'll wait till we get our planning department back in here, and then we'll just go ahead through the whole process.
It was just a preliminary issue that I think we would ask the commissioners to consider, so that's all.
Okay. Thank you. Are you ready?
We're ready.
Okay, Kim, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Candelaria.
Here.
Commissioner Lindsay.
Here.
Commissioner Copenhaver.
Here.
Administrator Powers.
Here.
Attorney McLaren.
Here.
Kim Purcell, Montezuma County Clerk and Recorder. Notice is hereby given that the Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners will hold a public hearing for review and determination of a special use permit and rezoning application for a USDA meat processing facility submitted by Rocky Mountain Meats agent Chad Fouts on property located at 7429 Highway 160-491, Cortez, Colorado. Located west of Highway 160-491, situated in Section 4, Township 35 North, Range 16 West, N.M.P.M. The hearing will be held Tuesday, March 8, 2022 at 9:30 a.m. in the Commissioners' Hearing Room, Montezuma County Administrative Offices, 109 West Main, Cortez, Colorado. Interested persons may attend and give input. Information may be obtained from the Planning Office online service at https://co-montezuma-co.smartgovcommunity.com, public home. You may also contact the Planning Department at 970-565-2801 with questions. Dated the 16th day of February, 2022, Kim Purcell, Clerk, Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County, Colorado. Published on the Journal on Wednesday, February 23rd, 2022.
Okay, thank you, Kim.
Mr. Fouts is here, the applicant. Morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Do they want to come up here, or? Okay.
Do you want to come forward at this time before we do the overview, or do you want to do your overview, Don?
I would appreciate that.
Okay.
Just
Commissioner,
what our issue is.
I think we should probably just maintain the general order of things, and I think this
Okay.
would be most appropriate in public comment, just to keep things consistent meeting to meeting.
What this issue is a preliminary matter regarding the notice of the hearing. And I think that's the only reason I would ask to do it initially. What we would be asking is that the commissioners consider continuing or delaying this matter to comply with the notice requirements. So however you want to handle it, Mr. McLaren, I just want you to be aware of what our concern is.
Now you're talking attorneys, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly the notice issue could be something we'd want to address at the front end, because conceivably that could result in a continuance of the hearing. So rather than wasting everybody's time, I'm not sure what the
That was
issue
my
is.
intent.
Okay.
It's pretty simple. We believe that this notice requirement under the rule, and it's section E1, and you're probably all familiar with it, just requires notice by certified mail to the landowners, adjacent landowners. We represent Aztec, Canyon LLC, and they are the primary landowner adjoining on three sides the proposed use here. And he did not receive notice. It says notice must be given by certified mail to the landowners 10 days prior to the hearing. I'm not aware that notice was sent, but he certainly did not receive it. And that requirement, we think, is a prerequisite to the hearing proceeding. Looking at section E1 there, we wanted to confirm that on the public notice procedure. And that's, our request would just be to continue the hearing to allow full notice to be given and proper properly addressing the issues that are contained in the application.
Mr. Haley, was certified
So-
mail sent to the owners?
Yes, and the requirement is evidence of sending the certified applications.
Yep.
We do not require or register actual receipt and date of receipt. It is to be certified mailed to them a minimum of 10 days prior to the public hearing, not actual receipt of the packet, a
Yeah.
minimum of 10.
I'm looking at that provision now. So the notice was sent by certified mail
Yes.
10 days prior.
Correct. You want to post it on Elmo?
Yeah, if you've got it.
They were sent out February 19th.
Yeah.
So what I'm looking at, it does appear that notice was properly sent in conformance with the provision in the land use code. So I think that I'd be comfortable moving forward with the public hearing at this time.
Okay, which is for the record to indicate he did not receive notice, but we understand.
February 19th, and they haven't received them yet?
Yeah, I mean, really what the land use code requires is that it be sent, not that it necessarily be received. I mean, I don't know, I would anticipate, I don't know why it wouldn't have been received, but we certainly do have proof of it being sent, and so I think we're in conformance with our land use code, and we're safe to proceed with the public hearing.
Okay.
So if nobody's home at the time they try and deliver it, they'll usually leave a slip, and you have to go pick it up at the post office, or they'll do a second attempt, but if you never pick it up, then you never get it. So that may be the instance. But he's fully aware of it, because I talked to him prior to the P and Z.
So I think the issue, I think at this point, the issue's resolved.
We sent them, it was stamped February 19th, so I think that we are in compliance with our own land use code. So with that, then, we're going to go ahead and proceed. Don, would you like to go ahead and give us an overview of what this hearing is all about?
Sure. So Mr. Fouts is proposing a meat processing facility. In doing so, he's looking to rezone the property to light industrial in order to be compliant with the land use code for a industrial agribusiness that requires the light industrial zoning. And also, the property previously was Hearst Trucking, so that they've been operating there since prior to the land use code, so it was obviously a heavy industrial use prior to the code. It just never was rezoned. This property is in the commercial industrial overlay zone, which is primarily for this type of business as an industrial agribusiness. That's why we have the commercial industrial overlay zones that follow the course of the highways for this type of traffic and use, which is also indicated on our GIS maps as well as in the land use code. During the course of the P&Z discussion, there was a discussion concerning availability of water. And since then, the previous owner requested from Montezuma Water District 1 a copy of his water records from the last 5 years. Mr. Cap Allen did an engineering study on site regarding pressure loss using a 5/8 inch tap that exists on the property. There will be no pressure loss. Obviously, you've got head pressure dropping from the city of Cortez to this property. Mr. Fouts, in order to work with Montezuma Water District 1 as far as any concerns of water pressure loss, is proposing a cistern in which he will fill in the middle of the night when water usage is down and pressure should not be an issue. But Mr. Allen, in his water analysis, there are several months of which the trucking company used over 25,000 gallons of water. It was previously stated that their maximum was 2,500 to 3,000 a month, and that they may not get any more water than that. But there's evidence going back over the course of 5 years that they've used up to 25,000 gallons, so that's not an issue. And that is more than probably what Mr. Fouts would require for cleanup on the meat processing operation. But as a backup plan, he's also got his own water truck, which he can go to the water dock and put it on site, connected either to the cistern or to his high temperature pressure water washer for cleanup and maintenance. Traffic will actually be less than what the trucking company ran. In change of ownership, CDOT did not have a previous access permit on that location. It was grandfathered in, just like 90% of everything else in the county on the highway system. But with change of ownership, change of use, Mr. Fouts has been in contact with CDOT regarding that access permit. He plans to process everything indoors. There will be a one-day delivery, just the afternoon prior to processing. He's not doing a feedlot, he's not storing animals outside, he's not keeping them, graining them for 30 days. It's pretty much a quick in and done operation, and like I say, everything is contained indoors prior to and during, after the process. And he will have commercial, industrial septic system designed to account for this type of operation. It won't be just a standard sanitary septic system. It's designed, and I'll let Mr. Fouts explain as far as byproduct, the use, and how he's going to handle that.
And Mr. Haley, if you would, just real quick, you said that CDOT has been contacted about the access permit. Have they granted that access permit at this point? Is that still in the process? Where are we at with that?
Grandfathering it in.
That's my understanding from the regional, I think her name is Randy Phillips. Reader. Okay, yeah, that's right. So I went through, I gave her our estimated round trips and everything. We're going to go in and out. And she did not indicate that I was going to have to do anything that it would be grandfathered in. I don't have any official statement of that. That was based upon my conversation with her.
Okay, thanks.
Now, do you want me to address?
Sure, you can go ahead and address the septic system.
Okay, good morning. So there are two items on this, well, it's actually one item on the septic system. We have a licensed engineer, Dudley Asherwood, who is doing the septic design. And so it's going to consist of a pre-treatment system, which will take, the blood is all separated individually, that gets pumped out and taken away to be made into blood meal and fertilizer. From the other byproducts of the water and stuff like that, that all goes through flocculators and stuff that I don't know what they really are, but he does. And, so I go by that. And then it'll go out into a kind of a engineered leaching field with aerators and everything else in it. That was the original plan. We are in communication with the sewer department, and if we can make sure that the monthly charge that they will do for us is not going to substantially raise the cost of the processing of the animals, then I think we're of a mind that we'll spend the extra money to kind of bore under the highway to get the sewer line over, to get it onto the sewer. Because that was a concern by some of the neighbors, that we were going to be leaching products out there. So if we can financially handle it, that's going to be our choice. But we do have a design And the products are made by a company that has done probably 150 different installations around the country in similar, I won't say similar soils and things, but it's a similar design. Small scale, under 5,000 animals a year, small volumes of water, because what we're talking about is 25,000 gallons of water a month would be our maximum usage. And that truly in a septic design, apparently, because I'm not from a slaughterhouse design background, is on the low side, is actually on the very low side of water usage in industrial wastewater treatment in general.
Okay.
If you have any questions on the water, I have my attorney, Jeff Craig, here, who has spoken with District 1 at length. We've got Cap Allen here that can address.
I think the letter was pretty much addressed all of the concerns and the issues as far as anything that I would have, and it sounds like you have plenty of water, specifically if you have adding the cistern and then worst case scenario to augment it with a water truck if you did become deficient. So it looks like you have plenty of water for what the flow has been per the study, and it's stamped by PE. So I think that's pretty well addressed. I would recommend, though, if it's feasible to get to that lift station across the highway, which I think is a very good, for the wastewater, is a very good option on your part.
Well, I think we're there. I mean, I think the numbers have come back. I'm just waiting to hear from the city on what my monthly charges are going to be. Because the first number they came back was based upon, they were quoting me for 5,000 gallons a day, 7 days a week. So when we went back in, it says 1,000 gallons, 5 days a week. Then the numbers are all changing on that. So we get down to, because both systems require constant maintenance, one way or another.
Sure.
So there's a cost ongoing of maintaining the systems. And actually, it looks truly, in my mind, that if we hook onto the city, our development costs may be more expensive going in, but the long term will actually be more economically feasible for us.
Yeah, and if I remember right, there's the lift station that's
There is, it's right over
across
there.
the highway. So you're super close, which is.
And with our volumes, we don't have to upsize that lift station or anything. So, so that should be decided within the next week.
Yeah, looking at that, I think is a very good option. Like you said, your development costs might be just a little more upfront, but your long-term costs are going to be better.
Absolutely.
For future. I don't have any other questions. Everything that I read looks pretty straightforward.
So on the animal waste, at the beginning, what we're going to be doing on the animal waste is it'll be removed on a daily basis, the guts, the viscera, that kind of thing, to the landfill, till we get our kind of infrastructure built up. We've gone out and contracted with a company that does a piece of machinery that we can put our blood in, and it will turn it into blood meal for fertilizer, because we do have a bunch of farmland down in New Mexico that we have to fertilizer. There's another company that's we have been in communication with, and hopefully they've built a couple of these small scale where you take the viscera, you remove it from site, take the viscera, and it's all processed with high pressure steam and turns it into a fertilizer, a liquid form of fertilizer. And so that going forward is what our plan is on addressing that. But again, going back to the daily removal for the interim, it'll be immediately frozen until we take it out later that day, because it was my understanding there are certain days that the landfill does not operate because of high winds or something, and in case it was closed. So we are actually building a special purpose viscera freezer that will be able to flash freeze those it's a minus 30 degrees freezer. They'll freeze them rapidly, because our goal is not to have any odor emanate from the building at all. We want really, part of, as a little side note, in this whole process, I went up to excuse me, I'm a little bit nervous, but up to Colorado State University at Fort Collins. And they built a state-of-the-art processing plant right on campus. And literally, you stand outside of it, and you'd think you're outside of a library. And so that's kind of our goal of what we want to build here, so that if you're standing on the outside of this building, you would not have any idea what was going on inside. You wouldn't hear noise, you don't have any of the smell, any of those things typically associated with a meat processing plant. And that's really our goal. We want to do a really good job of it. We've been in touch on a regular basis with the guys up at, that run the plant up there, in involving them in our design and how to lay things out, and doing best practices, developing our best practices.
Mr. Phelps, can you just explain a little bit more about how exactly you would mitigate the noise, the odor? I mean,
The noise, the biggest noise that comes in from processing plants are the animals, and a lot of times they store them outside. This idea was actually developed by Temple Grandin up at CSU, where they actually deliver them, they're taken inside the building, and they're kept inside the building from the time they're dropped off. The building is all going to have foam insulation, 6-inch walls on it, so there's going to be that sound deadening. Temple Grandin, again, was the one who kind of developed this, that when they're kept inside, cattle kept inside, with a constant low level of lighting, they're kept calmer. They're not bellowing all night, and so since it's a quick turnaround, that would mitigate the noise of the typical noise of a processing plant. Odor, the biggest contributor to odor is actually the blood. And if you look at a lot of the processing plants that are around, that are the older style processing plants, they have these big blood evaporating lagoons. And they have aerators that go in them. I mean, you can, San Juan Meats down at Kirkland has one just like that. It's just this nasty pit out there. And I'm not saying, but it's apparently an acceptable way of doing it. Our goal is to get away from any of those things that are going to be exposed to the environment, so that they can develop that smell. The entire plant will be kept at 40 degrees so that that bacteria, because it's a USD plant, we have to keep it at those cold temperatures. By doing all those things, the microbes or whatever that cause the smell will not be able to develop. And again, so we go back to this, but particularly by doing the blood separating tank, keeping those, they'll be undergrounded so that they don't have access to air to be aerated. It'll be pumped out, taken away, and no leach fields or anything like that. But particularly by connecting onto the sewer, I think will help that in a great deal. So we do not anticipate, prior to putting this into motion, I visited, I think it was 22 different USDA plants in Colorado, one in Idaho, one in Wyoming, and one in Nebraska, that were all well-run, or what people had told me were well-run. And I went to every one of those, and there was absolutely zero odor. And as a matter of fact, in the packet, I think I showed you some things where even, the big guys, JBS, they literally have a packing plant next to a high school in the middle of a residential area. That's in Denver. That's one of the big plants in Denver. And, by and large, there's no smell emitted, as long as you're keeping the fluids and things down and taking care of it in an immediate, logical way.
Thanks.
You got that?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Commissioners, questions?
Few little questions.
Okay.
When you're going to flash freeze these, you're going to use nitrogen, CO2?
No, when I say flash freeze, I don't truly mean flash freeze in the sense I think you're thinking about. I think it's going into a minus 30 degrees freezer.
Okay.
Because there's a certain period of time under the USDA that I have to have the body cooled, or that product has to be cooled down to a certain temperature within a 24-hour period.
Are you going to be required to have a backflow preventer on your water lines?
Yes.
Okay.
Commissioner?
Not right now.
Okay.
Maybe.
Well, I don't either right now, so I will go ahead and open this up for public comment. Anybody wishing to speak for or against this application, please come forward to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you may address the board at this time.
Rob Pope, 311 North Broadway. This is kind of a generic comment. Most of you know me in here from work I've done around here. There's been a pretty long history of opposition to development in this county, not only with industrial, but business and smaller cluster subdivisions, and some thinking forward in how we move forward with the growth in our community. One of the things that I think most of the people here remember is Empire Electric and what they went through to build their new facility out there. All of the opposition to that and concerns were mitigated, and they have a nice facility out there in an area that was kind of fit into it. It was there on the 491 corridor with commercial people were surrounding them. I think this is pretty similar. You know, we have somebody coming in that's willing to spend money in our community and build a nice facility. A lot of the comments I hear when stuff like this comes out is you need to put this out in the middle of nowhere. You know, it doesn't belong here. It's on the 491 corridor. That's a business corridor. It's a trucking corridor. That's where they need to be. They have three-phase power there. You don't put three-phase power out in the middle of nowhere unless you have a pocketbook that won't support a facility doing that. You just price yourself out of it. I think the news surrounding this is kind of important. We need to insulate our community from a lot of the stuff that goes on here. To have a local packing plant where we can do stuff locally is important. This area did a lot of dry land farming, wheat, beans. It's an ag community that grows feed. We need to support the people that are coming in here, willing to put their pocketbooks at risk to build these type of facilities. This fits in the 491 corridor. The lift station. Lift stations operate more efficiently when they're at capacity. I don't know what the capacity of this lift station is at, but full capacity, they're more efficient. If he's going to mitigate noise, smell, and lighting, and he has the proper permits to pull his trucks in and off that highway, I don't see a reason in the land use code for this to be denied. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Wanda Martin, excuse me. Wanda Martin, 7399 Highway 160-491. We are the property closest to this proposed meat packaging or packing plant on the south side. And we do have some concerns. I know that it sounds really good and things have been promised, but what happens to us if things don't work out? If there is increased noise, if there is smell, if there's, flies and that. We all have livestock in that area, and I just am concerned about the watershed as well. All of the water from that property does shut off onto our property. So it may turn out really well, and I'm not against progress, and I'm not against businesses coming in, but as a contiguous landowner, I do have concerns, and I just worry about what's going to happen if this doesn't pan out as well as it sounds like it's going to. So, thank you.
Thank you.
My name is, can you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Tim Lanier. I live west of Pleasant View on Road 10. what's the capacity of this? How many, I guess I didn't get that, but what's the capacity of these? How many animals?
Maximum 200 a month would be the very maximum,
Okay,
50 a week.
okay. You know, I have a lot of people ask, you know, where can we get an animal processed? You know, in no way do I want to see any of the local packers now go out of business because of this, but, you know, when you have to wait 4 to 6 months to get a date to have an animal processed, it's frustrating to people. The animals get too big. You know, we've had in the past times where we've had 6 to 8 animals, grass-fed animals ready to go at once, and we have to take them to Arizona to get it done, or out of the area. And I just think that this would be a good boost to the local economy. It'd help a lot of these local farmers and ranchers and people that want to buy a beef know that they can get it processed in a timely manner. I appreciate the work that's gone into it, the thought that, you know, I can understand Mrs. Martin's, Wanda's concerns, but I really feel that this would be a boost to this economy and to this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Danny Wilkin, 11728 Highway 491. You know, I'm in favor of this. And not to even say that they would be butchering bison, but I take bison to Montrose that we raise and have them processed up there under the USDA plant because it's really the only place right now. We used to take them to Durango, but had a lot of issues there. So for about the last 5 or 6 years, I've been taking them to Montrose. And where Kinnikin Processing is in Montrose, it's right in town. You pull up to it. When you pull off the street and look at it, it looks like a sandwich shop and a meat place where you can go buy packages of meat that are frozen. You pull around to the back side. The only thing that makes it, you'd even think that you're just going to unload an animal there is they got 2 wire gates that swing out. But the way it is you pull up there, you back your trailer up to it. They got a roll-up door. The door rolls up. You pull the gates around so that livestock can't get out of your trailer and get out into the wild or out into town. Latch out, you run them out. They go inside of the building. They pull the doors back down. They're all in individual pins and stuff, or alleyways and stuff going to them. I can, I usually, when I take Buffalo up, I usually leave here at 3 o'clock in the morning. I get there at 6 o'clock in the morning. About 6:30 people roll in. They get everything opened up. I back up there. I'm out of there in 15 minutes unloading Buffalo. There is no smell. There is, I mean, and you're going to have to have a USDA plant, you have to be to certain standards and stuff. It's not like just the old slaughterhouses that we all used to see. You know, I mean, it's very clean. You go through there, everything is immaculate inside of that. There's just similar to what they're proposing here, everything is stored inside. Occasionally, we can take them up the night before. But, you know, they go inside, nobody ever knows there's an animal there. And so I think this is a great idea for people, you know, that do want to have more meat processed locally, as, you know, and who knows where it can go. And so, but I support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Bryson McCabe, attorney here representing Mr. Jim Black. His address is TBD Highway 16491. His property surrounds subject property on all on three of its sides. Has similar concerns as were raised by others today. He's concerned that this business could present a nuisance to his enjoyment and ownership of his land. This property is sitting on top of a rock formation. There's a creek that runs just below it, so he's also got concerns, water contamination and how the waste is going to be handled from this. You know, we've heard a lot of great promises from Mr. Fouts and from Rocky Mountain Meats that if they can keep those, then maybe a lot of these concerns will be mitigated. I would ask that commissioners today condition approval on keeping those promises. that approval of this would be conditioned on Rocky Mountain Meats reserving 50% of its kill slots for Montezuma County residents, as he said in the planning and zoning meeting. That he does bore under that highway so that we don't have to do a leach field on top of a rock formation right over the creek there. That there isn't excessive amounts of noise pollution or odor. That the place isn't a nuisance, and that it is what he is promising that it will be. So I would note Mr. Black's objection to this application and request that it be denied. But if it is to be approved, I would ask that the commissioners condition approval on him keeping the promises he's made to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Jennifer Singer, 29134 Road M.4, Dolores. I have a question about the water.
Ms. Singer, we're having some trouble hearing you. Is the microphone on?
Yeah, it's on.
Okay.
Should I say that again? Okay. I still have a question about the water. I understood what you said about the trucking company using more than what comes out, was supposed to be coming out of the tap. How long ago was that? You said you had the records of water use there.
So I want to be careful here. This is just public comment.
Yeah, this is public comment. So you're addressing the board right now?
Oh, okay. Well,
So-
that's my question.
Okay.
If water was overused in the past from what is supposed to come out of that tap, does that make it right to overuse it now in a drought? We have one source of water for everything, everything that goes on in this town. And MBI was cut by 90% last year. And so, we got 10% of what they said that we should get per share. And, just because people wasted water in the past, are we going to continue to let that happen with the drought? The 20-year drought.
Okay, thank you.
Just as a point of clarification, this is potable water, this is not irrigation water.
I know, but the water all comes from the same place. And we all have left.
So we're gonna go to the next comment, and then we'll address questions and concerns when it comes back to our turn to talk. Right now, it's your turn to talk. It's public comment. It's not a debate. This is your turn to address the board. So, next.
I'll try not to take too long. I'm Clayton Archer. I live at 621 Patton Street, Cortez. I'm the owner of A&C Milling, the feed store up on 491 next to the sale barn. I just want to point out that I am currently losing customers on a near daily basis just with the drought, with everything going on, and the greatly decreased value of our cattle in the area because everyone has to export. Like we were saying, people are driving to Montrose, they're driving to Delta. We're sending our animals out of the area. We're sending our work that we need done out of the area. I think that this will really help us turn things around. There's ranchers selling out all the time now, and it's not good for the area. People going under is the county losing jobs, losing revenue. I obviously understand the water concerns, and I think that anything you can do to reduce water usage going forward is going to be awesome. I know it's a lot of water, it looks like up front, but as you said, it's less than other facilities use already. So anything you can do in future to continue to improve that, I think that's going to be really helpful to the situation in our continued drought scenario. But I think this is going to be a game changer for our local ranchers and our farmers as well, as we get to keep more of our grain here, more of our feed here, more of our animals here, and we're adding jobs to the county that are really necessary, in these times. So I really, really hope that you guys can approve this. I'm just saying, it would be so great to have local meat production here. I think it could really change, I'm repeating myself, I apologize, but I think it could really change things for us, you know. I mean, in my industry alone, like I said, the cattle production has greatly waned over the last several years. And I've seen that change in my customer base in recent years. And I think that would be really good for helping people get back on their feet, not to have to transport, you know, an animal 4 to 6 hours away just to book an appointment in less than 8 months. So hope you guys can do good. Hope you can really add value to the community. And like I said, if you can reduce those water usages as time goes on, that's great. But I think this is a really necessary thing that our county needs. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next.
Colton Black, representing Cortez Area Chamber of Commerce, 20 West Main Street, Cortez. We would just like to express our support for a project like this. I know that Chad and his team have gone the extra mile to do their due diligence to design a facility that is modern and way different than the perception that I think most of us have of a meat packing plant. A lot of our perception is based on facilities that were probably built 40, 50 or more years ago. And that perception has changed drastically. I think the examples that Mr. Faust has pointed out with the meat lab at Colorado State and other facilities and the changes that have occurred really mitigate a lot of the factors that comes to mind when we think of things like this. And, you know, a facility of this kind would really be huge to the economic development for our area. As others have stated, you know, we're seeing producers currently, you know, our local farmers and ranchers that are traveling, you know, 4, 6, 12 hours, you know, hundreds of miles to get an animal processed these days. And we're seeing, you know, not just, you know, local economic wise, regionally, nationally, even globally right now with, you know, significant strains on supply chains and things like that. And anything we can do as a community here to strengthen our local supply chains with a facility like this, it adds value back to our ag producers that we have in our community and can really be a huge benefit to us economically here. So I would just stress that, you know, I think that it's great that we have people willing to invest in our community like this, and I think that we should show them, you know, the same good faith in return that, you know, we trust that they're going to fulfill the promises that they're making to our community for the investment that they're willing to make here in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next. Okay, seeing no other public comment, I'm going to close the public comment section of this hearing, and I'm going to bring it back to the commissioners.
So, Commissioners, as you move forward and talk through this, I just want to talk to you about exactly what you need to consider in making this decision today. So as far as the high-impact permit goes, you need to consider whether this proposed use is in conformity with the Montezuma County Land Use Code. You need to consider whether the proposed use is going to generate any significant adverse impact to surrounding property owners. And certainly you can consider mitigation measures in considering that as well. The last thing you need to consider is whether public utilities and services are available or can be made available that can support this use. You know, certainly I think it's important for everybody out here to understand that when these permits are granted, it doesn't mean it's just a free-for-all. You don't just get to do whatever you want to do, however you want to do it. You have to stay in conformity with the conditions of the permit, and if you don't, your high-impact permit can be withdrawn. You can get sideways with the land use code. There's all sorts of unpleasant things. So, you know, I think it's just important to understand that just because we approve this today doesn't mean it's just a free-for-all. Certainly have to conform with the conditions. Certainly, then looking at the rezoning request, you know, the conditions are very much the same. The proposed uses have to be, or the proposed zoning has to be in conformity with the code, and no significant adverse impacts can be generated. So those are really the factors for you guys to consider today. Certainly, we did hear about some of the mitigation measures that are proposed, and certainly I think it's important for you to consider those as well in making this decision.
And Commissioners, if I may, I know economic development is, has been a focus of the commission. For Commissioner Copenhaver, he may not be aware, but last year, the economic development team put out a survey to the entire community to identify areas where we were leaking money out of our community. And one of those areas identified was for meat processing. Many of the ranchers do obviously have to take their cattle out of areas. And I also wanted to address an issue that came up with the entrails as far as the few things that we can do to impact water. The county really doesn't own any water, but our free Atify program and our composting program are probably the most aggressive things that we have for conserving water. And I would highly suggest that we speak with our landfill manager. Those entrails that he wants to take to the landfill can be put in the animal pit, as most of them are now. We could also amend our engineer design and operating permit for our composting facility, imagining that we would see a significant increase in entrails, and those could be composted to amend our soil to help it better use water. And then I also want to echo Colton's concerns about supply chain. As we know, fuel to transport is getting more costly. The price of meat at the supermarkets is going up, and if we have a USDA facility in county, that provides City Market, Safeway, Walmart, a local source where the transportation costs can be greatly reduced from that. So purely from the economic development team's perspective, I think that something like this would answer our survey question about leaking that money out to other areas. It would address a transportation need, and we could use the residuals from the meat processing to compost and greater enhance soil in the area.
And so one thing I would just add, and certainly Mr. Powers makes a lot of good points, but really what you guys need to decide today is whether this is in conformance with the land use code. And so I think that's an important distinction. I mean, certainly economic development is important, but we're looking at land use code today.
So with the land use code specifically, Don, we'll address these points, and then we'll address some of these concerns of the people that spoke today. Everything is in compliance with the land use code with this special permit granted, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
The zoning is being changed to incorporate this industrial agribusiness. It's in the commercial industrial overlay zone. The special use permit is required for this type of operation. It does not even reach the threshold standard of a high impact permit, so that is not required or necessary, but the special use permit is.
Okay, so if an expansion were to take place, it could at that point in time, and then that would just have to be part of the process for that? Okay.
Correct.
So we do have compliance with the land use code?
Yes, sir.
So one of the concerns was, and I think our attorney just spoke about it, what if the things don't work out? Well, we're addressing those issues right now when something didn't work out. Those are not just, as our attorney stated, they're not just a free-for-all, they're not just there forever, they can be denied and they can be revoked. Not that we ever want to see that. We hope we can work with the people to make sure that they come to compliance and make things go on. So the concern about it's just going to happen without any watchful eyes on it is not the case at all. Things are brought to the commission all the time and addressed. So just because it's granted does not mean it will not be revoked. So I think that should take that concern out immediately. The water contamination, like I just already told you, there's a lift station right across that street that would handle this, and I will give you kudos for already thinking of that to be able to get rid of that in a lot more logical and viable manner. I think that would help it significantly. That way there's no issues with the creek ever to come into question. So again, kudos for that. I think that's That's great. You know, something that comes to mind is people are worried about all of the smell that this could possibly generate. Well, let me remind you what sits right across the road within a stone's throw away from this. And I'm just going to tell you that that has no odor to it either. And there are ways of engineering that are designed to take care and mitigate every type of odor that there is. So I know that nobody wants to realize that, but everything that flows within the sanitation district goes right there. And it flows and it moves and it turns every day. So, again, thank you for looking at that, and I think it's by far your best option and opportunity to move that forward as far as water contamination.
Commissioner, I'd also like to just remind everybody that as that water is collected and gone to the sanitation district, it is returned to McElmo Creek. It's
That
not
is correct.
wasted, it's not lost.
I was just getting ready to state that. So my next point is that wastewater treatment facilities are always planted right next to a waterway so that they can put the water after it's cleaned and put right back into the water, the waterway. Water is not just wasted. So we are not just losing the water that is going there. It is going to be processed, cleaned, and put back into McElmo Creek. And you cannot put more water out, so a 5/8 line is still only going to produce what a 5/8 line will flow. You can't just increase it. It's restricted to what the line size is. So, again, if he knows he's going to need additional water, he's going to plant the cistern. The cistern will be his storage capacity, but you still can't flow any more water than what you can push out of a 5/8 line. So, that's all I have to say, Commissioners.
Couple of quick questions. Is your facility just for private slaughter, or is you going to go commercial, public sales, commercial sales?
Well, it'll be open to the public.
Okay.
As I've stated before, 50% of all kill slots will be held for residents of Montezuma County. So, I mean, I guess I'm not clear on what you're asking.
Are you going to sell commercially? You going to go out to the restaurants and sell to them? Or?
Well, so let me back up and tell you. So we have two businesses. I mean, so there's the slaughterhouse. The reason I want to build the slaughterhouse is we have a meat business that we process our own meat. Unfortunately, I can't get them slaughtered to meet the demand. I just had to take 2 steers to Wyoming. Was the only USDA slot I could get. So we're currently selling to our established customers that are, some are here, some are Durango, Aspen, California, and that was the motivation for building the plant. But on top of that, there's a lot of extra capacity. And those individuals who want to take their product, if they slaughter through us, it'll be USDA stamped, so
Right.
it's available for resale. So if any individual who has 6 steers that want to sell to whoever in the community, they can build their own business, but we would be the backbone for the processing of that meat.
Okay. The only thing else I can see is the road, the access road. I would encourage you to be real cognizant of the dust and dust control on that road for your neighbors.
Definitely will be.
Can actually put that in as a contingency if you'd like to.
And then just one other thing to consider, Commissioners. I know Mr. Fouts talked about CDOT, and they seem to indicate that access was grandfathered in. I certainly think that it would be wise to approve this contingent on final approval by CDOT of that access, because they do have certain requirements that they meet. So if it is grandfathered in, that's fine. I think a statement from CDOT to that effect should be fine, but we just want to be sure that this is approved in a way that we're not going to run askew with CDOT.
Okay. Commissioner Copenhaver.
I guess I can testify to a little bit of what Mr. Fouts has done because I've been to his facilities in Hespers and to his facilities down at Waterflow. Worked on some of his animals for him. Everything that he has built has been top of the line. I mean, he has not spared one dime on any of these facilities. That where he works his animals and how he takes care of them, and where they do the embryo transfers, all these things. He hires a guy from Loveland, I think he comes from Loveland, doesn't he?
Yep.
To do embryo transfers for him. I mean, this is a top, he does things correct, okay? So I don't have much doubt that he's going to do this facility the same way he's done these others, okay? If that will help with your confidence as what he's going to do here, because he has done beyond what most people would do as far as his facilities to work his animals and how he handles them. So I guess I don't have much doubt he's going to do what he says he's going to do here. And I think it will be an excellent addition to our community here. And I think he could put this facility other places, and I'm just glad to see him come here, supply some jobs, and I think this facility can be a definite big asset to our community. And believe me, we're not going to we're going to watch, we're going to make sure things happen. We're going to try to make sure things are done right in this county. So if we're not, you come back here and let us know, because it stops right here. We need to know if something's not being done right, okay?
Okay, so I think what we have is basically looking at it, we have all compliance with the Landis Code, which is what we have to make our decision based on today. But I want to bring up one more thing to everybody, and I don't think anybody has forgot this. And 2020 was probably one of the worst years that I ever had to live through. And one of the biggest concerns that we had was in 2019, we had also approved a USD packing plant in Mancos. And to this day, I've had no complaints or anything else that's going on over there at that facility. So when I hear a USDA packing plant, in my mind, as far as economy and what it's going to do for the agribusiness of this community, I think it's paramount. In 2020, when the pandemic hit, food insecurity was a big thing of just our local people. And if we can take care of ourselves locally and support our agribusiness, I think it's by far one of the best things that we could possibly do. So realize that if it complies with the Land Use Code, we are bound by what has been given to us to govern by. So gentlemen, I'm going to bring it back to us for any, I think we're ready.
Okay, I would move that we approve this high-impact and special use permit rezoning application for a USDA meat processing facility submitted by Rocky Mountain Meats agent Chad Fouts. Property located at 7429 Highway 160-491, Cortez. And this application be contingent upon good working septic permit, whether it be through a septic tank or preferably hooked up to Cortez Sanitation District, a CDOT permit, and dust control upon the roads.
And Commissioner, I would just say, it's a special use permit.
Special use permit, yeah.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the special use permit and rezoning application for a USDA meat processing facility submitted by Rocky Mountain Meats agent Chad Fouts on property located at 7429 Highway 160-491, Cortez, Colorado, with the contingency of a CDOT permit, dust mitigation, and a working septic system engineered and/or being hooked into the sanitary sewer system of the Cortez Sanitation District. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Close it. Are you going to close it?
I will close this public hearing. Thank you. You know.
It's hard to remember to do all that.
I'll give you a minute to go out. I'm just giving them a minute to clear the room.
I figured.
And to take a drink. Okay. Do you have anything else for us?
Not at this time, not unless you have questions.
No, I think we're good. All right. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We'll see you next week. Okay, we're going to move into the public comment session of the original board meeting. The Board of County Commissioners welcomes you to this meeting. Persons speaking during public comment will be limited to 3 minutes, or depending on the number of people wishing to speak, it may be reduced to allow all members of the public the opportunity to address the board. When addressing the board, please state your name and address for the record prior to providing your comments. Comments to individual supervisors or staff are not permitted, and participants may not yield their time to others. With that, the public comment session is open.
James Parks, CR 32 12976. About chip sealing our road. This weekend I went out and collected signatures from everybody on the road, all the taxpayers, and also businesses that provide services. So there is 63 total, 13 of them are businesses, the propane company, the trash collection, that a lot of the comments are vehicle repairs because of potholes and mag washing off of vehicles. I'd like to submit that.
Okay.
See if we can't move forward for next year to get our road chip sealed. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Kathy Van Vliet, 28111 Road T in Dolores, Colorado. The reason I'm coming up today is I just wanted to thank the commissioners for their recent review and taking care of a situation across from us at Ironwood. And I want to thank you for reviewing everything and for your continued support and checking on things. I know that you are very much involved in trying to mitigate and help correct a situation there. So I just wanted to thank you. We haven't done that properly, so I apologize for that. Thank you. And that is on behalf of most of the community in that area. So thank you for your continued support and process in trying to take care of that situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
All right, I'm Butch Smith, 20675 County Road 20, and I apologize that it just crossed my mind as we were talking about the processing plant, and I'm 100% for it. But I was looking at the map, and it's going to be off 491, am I correct? Is it possible for the county commissioners to send a letter to the state, possibly putting in a turn lane for that section? If we start getting a lot of farmers in there, you know, running their cattle and stuff, that may create a bottleneck. I was just wondering if if it's possible. I mean, our attorney would know that more than anyone.
Yes, so
Actually,
generally,
I'll address it after public comment, but right now, I will address it, but just not during public comment.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, then I'm going to close the public comment session of this meeting, and we are going to jump back into our regular meeting, but I'm going to take a minute of my time to talk, and I will address that for you, Mr. Smith. We work with CDOT specifically. I actually sit on the Southwest Transportation and Planning Region for CDOT. We actually have a very good relationship now, and even out on 491, we have done some turn lanes on N.M.P. and I think one of the concerns is it might be more, but I think it's actually the traffic is going to be significantly less due to the that was a trucking company that was in and out of there pretty much 24/7. So I think you're going to see a reduction in that. However, I have a meeting with CDOT tomorrow, and we actually talk about all kinds of things. So it'll be a conversation that'll be had tomorrow. But I don't have a lot of concern with that right now, just due to the fact that 50 head a week, 200 a month is going to be a lot less than trucks going in and out of a roadway that were there previously for as long as I can possibly remember. So,
And those trucks are really not gone from that highway. They just moved across the road.
well, 491 is
It's a corridor.
491 is a corridor that we talk about all the time in every transportation meeting that we have because of what it produces between I-40 and I-70. So trust me, the commission is well aware of 491 and 160, and we're doing the very best we can all the time. So with that, we're going to move on to our county operations, and the first one we have, our public lands are not going to be here now. So we're going to skip by them. Shane Higman is sick, so we're going to skip by him. We're going to go to building and maintenance with, I see Dustin in the background.
Good morning.
Morning, Dustin.
I don't have a whole lot. We've been working at that Lost Canyon shop in Dolores. Just about ready to texture probably tomorrow, and then depending on temperatures and dry, and get that painted either Friday or Monday of next week, and then it'll be ready for the electrician to come in and finish it up. We installed a wall on the 3rd floor conference room so they don't have their problems going from their cubicle area to the kitchen and restroom while they're having conference in the conference room. That was finished up this morning. We replaced 2 toilets and faucets out at Road and Bridge in the men's room. And we've troubleshooted and repaired a couple of heaters here and at the museum. And then our normal everyday stuff that comes in, and just pushing snow and trying to keep the ice off the sidewalks.
Okay.
You have anything for me?
Thank you.
No? Thank you. Okay, next is our IT department, Mr. McLean.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I don't have a whole lot either, other than I kind of missed last month when the department heads were introducing themselves to Mr. Copenhaver and kind of giving it, I thought I'd give him a brief introduction on how my department actually came to be the way it is. In 2013, as you well know, I was over at the Sheriff's Office back then, and in 2013, the then Commissioners reached out to me and invited me to come over here, but they threw some conditions at me. And I had 1 year to meet those conditions, or else that wouldn't have worked. One was to bring the county back together, because at the time, the Sheriff's Office was separate, had their own IT department. DA had their own IT department. and everybody was kind of off on this separated thing, so they laid these conditions down. So not only did we bring some of that continuity back and that cohesiveness back, we brought them all back under our thumb in 1 year's time. And then I also brought social services back underneath the county thumb at that time. They were being handled by the state, and it was a horrible situation. So I have to give kudos to my staff, because the IT staff and these guys are all aware, especially during the pandemic, they stepped up, and it was nonstop, 24 hours. You know, we're like maintenance. Ours is on call 24/7 because of the sheriff's office, so we have to be available pretty much at a moment's notice. But we have a good staff, and we take care of everybody. And, you know, I have one rule, and that is treat everybody with the same respect, and, you know, treat them like a customer, because your job depends on it, and it does. So, that being said, the only other thing I'll bring up is that we were successful. We're, about 6 weeks in now to the phone service change. I would say it's 80% successful. We're still working out some of the little bugs, but we'll get there. I'm getting ready to change out to a new firewall on Saturday, which will help speed up my phone service issues that we're having because of the throttleness. And we also were successful with the internet, no issues there. I'm almost done building the county ring, which will give us full redundancy of our own little network internally. So if somebody should cut the fiber across the street, everybody will just keep working, they'll just go the other direction, and vice versa. And I'll have that built probably next week, maybe. And that's about it. You have anything for me?
Not at this point in time. I mean, thanking your staff for what you do. You know, obviously Commissioner Copenhaver, what he said through the pandemic for those 2 years, we were jumping, scrambling, trying to get people remote, trying to do all kinds of things, and it was a task, specifically because of areas that we didn't have any service to be able to get to. So they do a good job. There's only 3 of them, and thank you guys.
Thank you. And don't forget to come see me, and I'll fix your email problem.
Okay, I will.
Yeah, go see him, because Commissioner Stevenson said one day, gosh, it's been quiet. I haven't gotten any emails all week, and we just looked at it and we're like, you got an email problem.
I'm getting them on my phone, I'm just not getting them on that.
Yeah, don't be shy, nobody else is.
If you think you're...
I'm not shy, because I don't know. Technology is not, you know, is a couple of decades before me.
If you haven't gotten an email, something's wrong.
You may not want that fixed.
What he said.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. GIS mapping, Mr. Roth, Ms. Medina, come forward.
We're not realigning precincts again, are we?
Oh, no, we've been able to do all sorts of great stuff since we put that one to.
Hey, I'm sitting over here next to her, you settle down over there. She's almost started throwing things.
I was happy to see in the paper that the caucuses were occurring, and that meant that that's kind of moved on. So we have 2 updates. The first one is work done a couple days ago, and this is our landing page for our GIS mapping. Now, our GIS mapping online services are provided as part of our GIS, what do you call it, the service contract that we pay every year for. So the mapping services in this homepage is paid for that. They informed me late last year we hadn't made any updates to this homepage, landing page, in probably 4 or 5 years, and they said, okay, we're going to be switching over, and you have to update that by March. So that's what we did in the end of February. And I think there's some pretty good improvements to that, what we have now. And this is our public map landing page. What we have now is our typical property map viewer that gets the heaviest use, that has all those layers. We have a recreation viewer that Rachel's going to be working on updating all those layers that include trails, features, highlight that kind of information, public lands, camping spots, fishing spots, all that. Need to do a little bit of work on that. And then the third item is made some changes to the interface of this verifying address page. And I'm just going to read this right here. This pop-up that we put, which kind of describes why this map exists. And so the purpose of the verifying address map is to enable citizens, real estate agents, and prospective buyers to quickly see the property address, if the property address on a listing will need to be corrected. It's the addressing department's goal to correct any bad address at the time of an ownership change in order to reduce the impact this has on our future and current residents. So that's really that point. That map is very simple. If you zoom into any area there, Shaq, it's one purpose is to allow somebody to search for property. It's got a pop-up. It says the address and it says whether it's good or may need to be corrected. So those are the changes to that. And if you scroll down just a little bit on that page, there's Shaq, that web page. It has a link to our county GIS page. It has the general disclaimer that talks about the maps, and that's where we're at. So that was a good project that we got wrapped up.
So the recreation viewer, that's brand new then?
Well, we had it on the old page, but it's just, it's old, it needs a lot of work. It has a lot of potential.
I know some fishing guys that might pay not to have anything on this map.
Well, yeah, well, we try and find information anywhere we can, so we'll put it on there, you know.
I've heard that the best lure that you're gonna be able to use for fish this year is a bottle of Aquafina.
Okay. But I think also the point of this map too is to show Phil's World isn't the only place to mountain bike, and, you know, there's many places to fish and recreate. So that's kind of what we want to highlight in our community too with this.
Well, and I like it too that you also have the ATVs on there.
Yeah, like Mud Springs is a underutilized, great place to go.
Which is great for that community as far as our recreation. And just the hiking that we have down in Sand Canyon is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I go down there and hike that place again, from County Road N all the way down to McElmo, it's pretty spectacular.
It is,
pretty
yeah.
amazing. It's really not that far. It's like 7-mile hike. It's
mostly downhill.
Yeah.
Hike up towards Sand Canyon and go up the switchback.
If you start at the bottom and go up, it's a little tough, but
Yeah.
it's really neat. Yeah, that's awesome. Glad to see that.
What I'd like to see in this map, give Rachel some ideas when she's working on it, is a little interest box at the top, and you can check what you're interested in, and then it will highlight those interests. So if you're interested in ATV trails, it will highlight that. If you're interested in fishing spots, it'll highlight that.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I think the ultimate goal with this map and all the others is that they're just more user-friendly than they were before. Very straightforward on what the purpose of each map is, and then how to use it, and the information is readily available, so.
Well, in our job that we're doing, I get to use it every week. So I
We're glad they're
appreciate
really
it. Thank
useful.
you. Really useful.
And another project that was wrapped up, Rachel's been working hard, like she does about this time every year, on getting the road impact fee accounting up to date. We have to pull it from different resources, and Rachel can talk about that more, but from the deposits database, the databases and permitting, the planning permits, to get this compiled into a format where we can then display on a map form for the road department to use for their projects. As we know, they have to use the road impact fees within a certain distance of a project. They can use this map visually to then say, these are the fees that have, these are the areas or addresses, projects that have a balance on them that we can pull from for certain projects. And that's what this map is. I emailed the commissioners a copy of the map along with the list that goes along with that. In order to use this map, either you need a large printout or you just need to zoom way in to actually see the fees themselves. I guess, you can zoom into a random area there, Shaq, and it would kind of show what we're.
So that has all the fees on it?
All the fees that are available.
Gotcha.
That have a balance. So as far as those figures, we have, do you want to talk about what was,
So we
what
can,
you found in 2020?
we can use those impact fees within that 5-mile radius of where they were collected, right? Is that?
Yeah, so basically the road department has a project and then they're like, okay, in 5 miles of the project, what are the available funds that we can use towards this? And that's how then they get a list of all of those fees and then we do a transfer order for the road impact fees. Yeah.
And I just want to make the commissioners aware that while they can be used within 5 miles, Rob does his best to keep them even closer, more like within 2, because
Correct.
when you pay a fee, you don't want to go into a road 5 miles away. So even though we're allowed to do that, he really tries to keep it a lot closer.
And we keep pretty diligent notes, so any property owner could come in and say, I paid these fees this year, what project have they been used on? And when was that? And they can see that work, was done. So some of the statistics, though, are just in 2021 alone, we collected a total of 265 road impact fees. So that's how many people developed. Or no, sorry, it was 100. Oh, that's in total. Okay, sorry, that was 106. So 106 people came in and needed to pay road impact fees. The amount collected was over 300,000. And that's the most that we've ever collected in a year. So development is increasing over time. So then the available funds now in total are almost $1 million. It's 960,000. That hasn't been spent over the last, decade or more, however long we've been collecting fees.
Yeah, in May of 2021, the balance was $670,000, and today it's $961,000 that are available.
So what kind of impact fees are at the road of, where do you, L or 31?
29. You're
Oh,
talking
by
about the
ton?
one
Yeah.
he added up there just a second ago.
It's told you every week.
And it's the first time I'm looking at the map. I mean, how much development has went up on that road?
It looks like quite a bit. A lot of it is concentrated around P and 32.
Yeah, there's,
You scroll up, Shaq.
it's,
Anyway, it'd be interesting to sit down with you to really look at what is truly on those roads.
And we
You know,
can do analysis on like where it's been more dense in development
So,
across the
two
county.
questions for you guys from me is, give me an analysis at the end of that road, and then give me an analysis off of G Road and, is it F?
Well, I mean, it turns into F, but G and F theoretically cannot intersect, so it's like
That goes to the
22
airport. What
point
is
something, the airport road.
The road that goes to the F airport?
23 down to F.
Okay, so, yeah, right.
Yeah, but yeah.
So what do we have down in there also? And you don't have to answer that right now, I'm just saying, give me an analysis so that we can look at funding sources to look at that road down there also.
Yeah, so I mean, the way this kind of works is at this point, we typically hand this off to the road department. They tell us what they want to apply, and to a transfer order, which would then transfer those funds
To the
into
road
their
bridge, yep.
department to then pay those fees. And what we need to do is review that transfer order, because then Rachel updates our main database that says, hey, so that when people call, we can say, hey, your fees were used on this project.
Sure, absolutely.
And then the transfer order happens, and then we zero out that road impact fee collection. So that's the general how that happens. So we kind of need to see this once a transfer order gets prepped as well.
Okay. Very good.
And then I just didn't have time for this one, but next month I'll, with the planning department, I can present statistics on all the fees we've collected over the years, and, kind of have some visuals to show how development has increased over the years, what areas it's increasing in, and just kind of get a snapshot of what's happening in the community.
Yeah.
My sense is that this shows how what we've done over the past 2 years with road impact fees and other planning processes is that not only is the planning department working well, but the SmartGov software is working well to enable us to really do that work.
Well, and I think one of the questions that get asked is, where did my impact fees go to? And this is a very good way to say, it went here and it was used this year and we used X amount of dollars, and it shows that development is taking care of and paying for the impacts that are out there. And I think that's great. People, it's a fair question, and they should be able to have that answered.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it. Thank you.
And if you look at the list that I emailed you, it will say the road impact fee years the year was collected. And there might be some that are, pretty old. They're just out there that haven't been used yet. So we couldn't answer that because they haven't been used. So you'll see that when you look at that email.
Okay. Commissioners, any other questions?
No, thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Is that all we have?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all you have?
For now.
Okay.
See you tonight.
All right. Well, we'll move right along into...
You mayoring tonight or no?
No, thank you.
Unfinished business. We've already taken care of the John Deere lease, but we have the noxious weed masticator head from the USFS agreement.
Well, those are two separate things. I just put them on the same line item. So Ms. Loving was in here last week wanting the approval for a masticator head. I did ask her to send over the PO from the Department of Ag where she got the grant, so we could see money in and out. And that's what I have on the screen now is the PO for that. And you can see highlighted in the grant is $30,000 for the free out-of-fight crew and $20,000 for the equipment, being a masticator head. And we did also ask Ms. Loving for the comparative quotes. You saw the one for CAT being $21,875, and the other one from LIPA coming in at $25,995. So Ms. Loving has met all the requirements that we asked for. We've got the PO that'll show money in, money out, and then we just need the approval to purchase the masticator head.
Questions, Commissioner?
No.
I think she's taking care of everything that we asked, just so that we know that we're within the range of the head, so.
Move we approve the purchase of the masticator head, $21,875.81.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the proposal from CAT for a masticator head in the amount of $21,875.81. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And then the next thing we have is also for Ms. Loving. The Forest Service has asked for some additional work to be done in the hay camp area. And the McPhee area, and she's put those polygons on here. The Forest Service is going to pay the amount of $5,000 on this contract, and Ms. Loving would then need to expend that. And while spending that is certainly within her purview, because it's going to be money in and money out, and so it'll be reflected on the statements for the audit, we will just need to include this in the budget amendments that we are going to do. But for now, we need to approve this contract between the Forest Service and Montezuma County. If I could get this contract up there.
Questions, comments?
No, no questions.
And I looked this over, I don't have concerns.
All right.
And this is modification number 1 of that contract number.
I move we approve modification contract number 21-PA-11021300-034 to the Forest Service contract.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept modification number 1 to the U.S. Forest Service agreement number 21-PA-11021300-034
in the amount of
in
$5,000.
the amount of $5,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And that's it for unfinished business that I have.
He's back.
Okay, very good. All right, Ian, we're going to jump right into your...
Yeah, so I have a couple things to report. Kinder Morgan case, we did get a motion filed with the Board of Assessment Appeals to rescind their order. The Board of Assessment Appeals did issue an order indicating they wanted to see the stipulation and to basically dismiss the case before they were willing to rescind their order. They did indicate that they were at least amenable to the idea of rescinding that order, so we did prepare that stipulation. That was filed last week, and so now we're just waiting for that to all go through. I'm pretty confident it will. So that certainly is a positive step. The other thing I have for you guys today, and I apologize, I didn't get this into your packets, but this is an amendment to our agreement with the City of Cortez for the fiber management. The city's going to put this up tonight, my understanding is, and they're going to agree to this amendment. Basically, what this amendment does, as you guys will recall, the city and the county are working together to, in essence, get our fiber out in the project for management. All this amendment does is it just amends the fiber counts to account for the 144 strands that were given to the COG. And so really what happens is 144 strands came out of ours per the agreement that was entered into in March of 2021. And so that second page is what you need to sign, and then just attach the back of that is the original contract. So really what it does is it just reallocates the profit in accordance with the 144 that were dedicated to the COG. So we have less in the system now. We're going to get less of the total proceeds. But my understanding is this is going to come before City Council this evening, and they're going to approve this, hopefully.
Okay, and this was already all approved, so this is just a...
This is, yep, but I would ask that you make a motion just to approve this amendment, because certainly the contract was approved, but that amendment piece, we need to...
I move to approve this amendment modifying the agreement between Montezuma County and the City of Cortez, owned by Cortez Community network enterprise regarding a broadband fiber network, herein after called the agreement. The revisions on the agreement are limited to those specified below.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the amendment to the agreement between the Montezuma County and the City of Cortez, owner of the Cortez Community Network Enterprise regarding a broadband fiber network. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And again, Commissioners, I would just remind you that this is still subject to the city checking off on it too. They still have not finalized this, but I do anticipate that will happen tonight.
Just the second page?
Yep.
Kim?
Yeah.
I'll make sure it's to Julie.
Okay.
Okay.
That's it.
Nothing further from me.
All right, very good. James Dietrich.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
So I guess for my report, I just wanted to let the commissioners know that we've almost got those grants that we're working on for the trail project completed. I've got all the narrative done on the one that would be for the Cortez side. Still got a little bit of mapping and things like that to finalize that package. The package isn't due until the first part of May, so we're way ahead of the schedule on this, but I want to make sure that we've got all of our homework done and really get a good package put together. I'm also working on the Cortez side. We have one segment of that trail that we still need to finalize the route and really kind of get a better understanding of how much engineering we're going to have to go through on this side. Certainly more drainage crossings and things of that nature. So we'll take a hard look at that. So CDOT is advising us to apply for federal dollars on the Cortez side. So I'm still working with them on that because there are some exemptions for this particular grant. Normally, you cannot match federal dollars with federal dollars. However, in this instance, they are saying that there is the potential for that. So we just want to make sure that we strategically line these grants up in a way that's to our best advantage. All of the large dollars are coming from the feds. So if we apply for federal dollars for something that we're hoping to get federal dollars for the implementation on, that could cause a problem. So we want to make sure that we are strategic about it. So we use state dollars for the planning and then try to line that up with the federal dollars so that you meet all your match requirements and that you don't box yourself into a position where we can't use state dollars to match what we're asking from the feds. So anyway, a little complication in there, and what I'd really like to do is get something in writing from CDOT on this, because I think there's a lot of confusion at their end too, and they're still working through this. So anyway, that would be something I would really like to have in writing before we move forward on things. So anyway, we're moving pretty good on that. I do have a meeting set up with the BLM this Thursday with the fairgrounds manager. They are concerned about the camping that's happening up there at Chutes and Ladders, and trying to decide whether or not they want to harden that and officially make that campgrounds, because right now it's dispersed camping. Even though they have campsites that are regularly used, it's still considered dispersed camping. But of course, a lot of the neighbors in that area have got some concerns, about various things that are going out there. Fire is kind of the number one concern, and that's truly a valid concern. So the BLM is looking at alternative locations for a campground, and they are basically asking us whether or not the fairgrounds would be an appropriate place. So we've set up a meeting that we will visit with the BLM and the fairgrounds manager to gather more information, to bring that back to the commissioners so that we have a better understanding of what their concept is and what, if there really is an ask, what that ask is really going to be. So I've talked already with Justin a little bit about it, and you certainly don't want to say no on anything, without fully evaluating things, although we both see some complications with the fairgrounds as far as as far as that concept goes. Nevertheless, we'll explore it, get all the information that we can out there so that the commissioners can evaluate it. And then I think that, as we further, if this is a further concern for the BLM, perhaps we ought to start, pushing them to talk a little bit more to the state land board, because all that land that's out there by Phil's World, which I think is really the crux of the problem here, is state land board land. Obviously, we've been able to get the fairgrounds from the state land board. Maybe there's a possibility of the BLM actually getting some state land board land also. So anyway, I think very, very beginning discussion on all this stuff. So we'll just try to bring you as much information as we can gather, and we'll try to sort it all out.
Okay.
Other than that, I think that's my report for the day. Anything the commissioners have for me?
Not at this point in time.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Okay, Shaq.
And Commissioners, I'm sorry, I jumped over one thing in my report. I just would like to just add one additional thing.
You can't add. You can't add.
I go with just real quick, we did file a motion to hold our Walmart's appeal of their tax assessment in abeyance, and that was granted. And so that case will be held in abeyance pending the ruling by the Colorado Supreme Court on the case involving Adams County and Walmart.
Okay. Very good, thank you. Shaq.
A couple of things for the commissioners. First, a week ago Monday, the wellness, or part of the wellness committee had presented on beginning negotiations with the city of Cortez to do a barter where the city may not have funds for treating free adiphytes, but needing to address them nonetheless, potentially doing a barter to get rec center memberships discounted for county employees. One of the questions from the commission at that time was how many county employees would use that, and well, how many of them currently have one, and it looks like 12% based on the number of people that responded, and how many would get one if there was an offered discount. It was 80% based on the respondents. So of the number of people who responded, about 60 would. At $50 a month, that comes out to about $36,000 in trade. And while I know that this is, we're not making decisions today, and we certainly don't know what the city would still pay or any of that. I just wanted to make sure that you had the information. So that's what that information equates to based on an initial survey.
Have you been able to have, now that we have this data, a conversation with the city manager just to see if they would?
Initially, he's interested in the proposal, but of course, we still need to work out all the details, and then both boards would have to agree to it. So that's some preliminary data for you. But yes, initially, Mr. Sanders is interested in that. And then I wanted to let the commission know that the Southwest Opioid Response District, the SWORD, we had our first meeting last week. That went well. We did ratify the bylaws, and so we're going to begin the work on that. The next steps on that will be developing a 2-year plan for how initial funds would be spent, and of course part of that is going to be determined by the results of the feasibility study that Region 9 is putting together. And I think you're all aware, but the feasibility study, which normally I despise feasibility studies, is designed to answer the question of whether we need and could support an inpatient treatment facility, be it 30, 60, 90 days, and if so, how many beds. There are service providers that indicate that they don't think that we either have the need or have the ability to support it, and I think most of the cry from the hospital, law enforcement, the DA's office, and whatnot, emergency responders, is that we desperately need it. And while I'm not normally in favor of feasibility studies, I guess it's the fair way to settle the debate. So just to let you know where we're on that, we will begin meeting more regularly now, and so I just wanted to keep you up on that. I will be attending the Tribal Council meeting this afternoon. Mr. Rosignol will be presenting to Tribal Council, and hoping to both be able to build a manufactured home facility within Montezuma County and to be able to meet some of the housing needs on the Ute Nation. And then for the public, commissioners will be attending City Council tonight. That's been public notice to hear the State of the Economy report from Region 9. And then the last thing I wanted to bring to the commissioners' attention was CCI this week, or last week, sorry, was addressing a bill that was passed last year for transportation for individuals in behavioral health crisis. And we've got some feedback from our behavioral health providers and from other commissioners. And first of all, I'd like to say that most commissioners on the call were not aware that this bill had been passed or what the requirements were for counties. But basically, it requires counties to license entities that will be transporting people in behavioral health crisis. So it would require extra licensing for community mental health centers, such as Access Integrated Health. It would require extra licensing for our ambulances, and it would require extra licenses for law enforcement as well. It would be administratively complicated and burdensome. While it does allow for some reciprocity, if counties did not agree to reciprocity, one of the questions that they couldn't answer, for example, from our area, if we had to transport someone in a behavioral health crisis either to Pueblo or to Grand Junction, say Southwest Ambulance needed to transport it to Grand Junction and they're going over Lizard Head, and there was no reciprocity, are they going to need to jump through the licensing hurdles then for Montezuma County, for San Miguel County, for Montrose County, and finally for Mesa County? And so you can see how that could be a little bit of an issue. And furthermore, they're asking for CDPHE is asking for an extreme amount of data collection on this, which ultimately all that extra reporting does is take away from patient care and more time on paperwork, which you've seen. And finally, there's a clause in there that says except as provided in Part 3.2 of these rules, no secure transportation service, public or private, shall transport a person experiencing a behavioral health crisis from any point within Colorado to any point within or outside Colorado unless the secure transportation service holds a valid license and permits issued by the county or counties in which the secure transportation service is based. And so that provides a hindrance for, there are certainly are times when somebody is having a behavioral health crisis but voluntarily wants to be transported, and that would take away their option to just use whatever mode of transportation they wanted. And so some of the requests that we've gotten from emergency responders and from Access Integrated Health would be that the commission, well, let me back up one step. This would need to be implemented by the counties by January, and then HIGPUF at the state would still have till June to finish everything that they do. And so our emergency responders and Access Behavioral Health, and happy to put them on an agenda one of the Mondays if you'd like to have a more in-depth conversation, but they would like the commission to reach out to Representatives Catlin and Quorum to see if there's a way to stall this or to repeal it until something better could be worked out.
Okay.
And it
And,
makes no mention, basically, of during the wintertime when roads are bad going to Grand Junction out through Utah, does it?
No, it does say, you know,
Yeah,
if you
no,
transport
others
within or without, but obviously we couldn't require Utah counties to
Right.
have certification or whatever. So I guess the one direction I have is, would you like to have a conversation and a workshop with these providers ahead of calling Catlin and Quorum, sorry, or do you just want to make the initial calls?
No, I think we need to have a workshop with them. I mean, I don't mind making a call to them just to decipher it a little bit better with you, but they might be able to stall it. Or
Okay.
actually
Maybe overturn it.
repeal it.
And that would conclude my report,
Okay,
Commissioners.
thank you, Shaq. Commissioners report. Commissioner Copenhaver.
I sat in on the community intervention meeting with Shaq last week. Also, the AAA. The big thing there is they're wanting to spend their recovery funds. They had about $500,000 in recovery funds. They were, the project they're wanting to do is to put 5 different greenhouses that they were going to purchase for seniors to basically grow gardens. One in Toyac, one at Dove Creek, one at Ignacio, one up Silverton, and I can't remember if the other one's, I think it was in Archuleta County. But,
Yeah, I think.
okay. Anyway, that's where they're wanting to spend the rest of their recovery funds. And that was the big discussion about those 5 deals. And they're actually about $100,000 a piece. They're pretty good size, like 40 foot. They're the dome.
And those are actually greenhouses or high tunnels, or, I mean, there's a...
They're actually greenhouses. They're actually greenhouses. They're the domed type.
So they're heated and cooled.
Yeah. My daughter's got a little one down at her place down there. It's only, I don't know, it might be 18 foot or 20 foot or something like that. But these are like 40-some foot, so they're pretty good size.
For a community
And they're
growing.
And for seniors to do,
Garden.
be involved and get out. It's what they were promoting to use that money for.
So
That's
they
a big
think,
thing.
they think the seniors would be better served with hoop houses than they would with medicines and foods and.
Just telling you what was there.
They're...
That was
Transportation.
That was their proposal, how to spend the rest of that money, because they,
I guess that's why there's a board.
Yeah.
They'll decide what's best.
yeah.
Yeah.
Commissioners, I did get a message from Mel Jarman that he has reached out to initiate the process of including butcherings in our composting EDOP. So he's already started the ball rolling on that.
Okay, very good. That it?
Yeah.
Commissioner?
Not much at all. Going to city council tonight. Did listen in to the candidate forum in Dolores last night. Some pretty good candidates over there, so I wish them well.
Okay. I actually was able to attend it wasn't necessarily a forum, it was more of just a meet and greet with the Dolores candidates. 3 of them are going to be seated because they have no opposition. And then there was also, I was able to talk to the 2 mayoral candidates that they will have a ballot initiative for that. So that'll be coming out pretty soon. Ms. Kimmy will be sending that out. Pretty informative that night in Dolores. Followed up with the CCI legislative, just an update on Friday. No voting took place. It was just more of an up-to-date what's happened over the last week. Was able to spend the weekend at Albuquerque with my daughter, which was great. And then we came back Monday. We had our workshop. The blades that we've already discussed today was talked about. The High Desert Conservation District came in and gave a real short presentation, David Temple and Neva Conley. And basically, they'll be coming in about every other month just to let the people in our county know what they actually do as far as conservation, the no-till seed drill rental that they have, and some of the other programs like the Montezuma School to Farm program that they have within the area. So pretty informative. If you don't know where they're at, they are located down on 5th Street. Get with them, maybe somebody, they might be able to offer assistance for something that you have going on your small farm to help you out. And I got a request. Actually got 2 special requests this week. I'll just bring them up. One was, and I didn't even know, but one was about a animal control officer. I kind of had asked you guys a little bit, and I didn't know we had an animal control officer way back in the day, but anyway, that was something.
The city of Cortez has one, we don't.
I know, but this was for the county. Then the other one, look at my emails. Anyway, I had 2 requests, but that one was, I was kind of taken away because I know the sheriff deals with large animals, horses, cows, and something like that if they're for a safety zone, but I didn't even know that we ever had one. Anyway.
And actually, we didn't have an actual animal control officer. What it was is a predator type control. We contributed so much money yearly to their services. Then if we had an issue, if somebody had a mountain lion, bear problem, they would come and address it.
Take care of it. Okay.
And as those are federal, everybody used to call them trappers, but they're, basically an animal control type of deal. That's what we had before. We didn't actually have a person with the county.
Ours is called a state trapper.
Yeah, basically, and then it basically went from Fred to the Wildlife Services, Federal Wildlife Services.
Yeah.
But they're still around, but we used to contribute to that, and then they would take care of any problems in the county.
It was in the county, so, okay.
That was back, I don't know when they stopped it, to be honest with you.
All right.
And I did see that there was a mountain lion prowling around at Lebanon and scratched a guy. But I haven't heard anything else. I haven't heard if Division of Wildlife's out there taking care of the problem or what. I don't know.
So gentlemen, I believe the gentleman that used to be that was Clayton Wilson?
Clayton Wilson.
Clayton Wilson, and he was called our wildlife specialist.
Yeah, and he's still over at, he lives over at Oxford, right there by Oxford. I know the guy, I've known him for a long time.
And
in fact, I cut a couple horses for him the other day.
I don't think this is
He's
in
still around doing
regards,
that stuff.
yeah, to that as far as a predator. I think it was more of, dogs and that type. So
Yeah, see, and
anyway, just to bring it up, whether we discuss it any further, I just wanted to publicly note that. And other than that, I have nothing else to report at this time. So I will entertain.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn this March 8th meeting, 2022. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.